Hi, I'm Nicholas Floyd, the author of 7 Nights with Ayahuasca, and this is the first video in a series that I'll be doing in regards to some advice on how to prepare for an ayahuasca retreat. In this video, I'll be talking about some considerations before you actually head out and take the plunge. So if you're going to drink ayahuasca, I would highly recommend doing so in the Amazon. Reason being, your environment and your state of mind are going to have a pretty big impact on your experience. And so down in the Amazon, you're cut off from civilization, you're surrounded by nature, you don't have any distractions. And even if you remove ayahuasca from the equation completely, the Amazon by itself is a pretty magical place, and it's pretty conducive to having a really introspective experience. I think you could still have an introspective experience in a suburban setting in some dude's apartment, but I think probably it's a lot harder to do so in that sort of setting. It's a pain in the ass to get down to the Amazon. It costs a lot of money, it takes time, it's exhausting and all of these things, but in my experience it was definitely worth it. As far as where in the Amazon to drink ayahuasca, I don't have a recommendation on a specific retreat, and reason being, even though I was quite happy with the retreat that I attended, after I got back I heard an allegation of inappropriate behavior by the staff, and whether or not that's true, I don't know, but it simply reinforces the one piece of advice that I am going to give, which is that you should thoroughly research whatever retreat you're considering attending. There are quite a few retreats out there, and most of them are probably pretty reputable. Some of them are not reputable though, and according to word on the internet, some of them are even quite sketchy, so do your homework. As with any time you're traveling, I would recommend packing as light as possible, but there are a few things that I would highly recommend bringing, the first of which is a journal. And reason being, even though the ayahuasca visions can be extremely intense, they're a lot like dreams when you first wake up in the morning, and they tend to fade away from memory pretty quickly if you don't make a very conscious effort to write them down or remember them. And also, if you're going to be drinking ayahuasca several times over the course of multiple days, then it can actually start to all blend together. It can be hard to differentiate one night from another. So keep a journal and keep it all straight. Secondly, I would recommend bringing a headlamp if you'll have to walk anywhere after the ayahuasca ceremonies. For example, if you have to walk through the jungle to get back to your hut or anything like that. One of the strong effects of ayahuasca is physical incapacitation, and it seems to vary, like most of the effects, from person to person. But for me, it was a struggle even just to stand up, so it would have been nice if I would have had my hands free as I'm trying to stumble my way through the jungle to get back to my hut. I foolishly went down to the Amazon thinking that I was going to just illuminate the way with this, which didn't work out so well. Regarding insect repellent, the retreat that I went to recommended using DEET-free insect repellent, and if you're not familiar with DEET, it's a man-made chemical. It's the active ingredient in a lot of insect repellents, and there are some concerns surrounding its effects on health and things of that nature, which is why the retreat that I went to recommended going DEET-free. So I did, and I found out in the Amazon that my DEET-free insect repellent was completely ineffective. So if I had to do it again, it would basically be a determination of the lesser of two evils. Do I want to take my chances slathering myself with man-made chemicals but avoiding malaria, or do I want to take my chances with malaria and use an all-natural repellent that's pretty much ineffective? Considering that I was down in the Amazon for less than 2 weeks, if I had to do it again, I think I would take my chances with the man-made chemicals. Before you head down to the Amazon, it's good to know that the humidity can be quite intense down there. So I would recommend not bringing any items that might be sensitive to the humidity, so electronics, things like that. To give an example, I went down to the Amazon and I brought my laptop with the intention to use it as a journal, but it's a good thing that I also brought a good old-fashioned notebook and a pen, because within the first day or two my laptop started going haywire from the humidity. And also by the end of the retreat, the humidity had warped my passport into a parabola. So if you have any humidity-sensitive items that you have to bring with you, I would recommend protecting them in a Ziploc bag or something like that. Precisely because it can be so hot and humid in the Amazon, your initial impulse may be to dress as lightly as possible. For example, sandals and shorts and sleeveless shirts and so forth. And that's exactly what I would recommend if you enjoy being eaten alive by mosquitoes. But if you're like me and you're not too keen on getting bitten up, then I would recommend wearing something very lightweight but long sleeve. Perhaps something like this. So this is what I wore when I was in the Amazon. Pretty much every day I wore the exact same thing, and it treated me well. It's thin, lightweight, well ventilated, comfortable, and it provided me one other benefit as well. Drinking ayahuasca usually involves some vomiting, perhaps some diarrhea, maybe both at the same time. But before I went down to the Amazon, I purchased this at the local thrift store for about $5 US, and that provided me the peace of mind of not having to worry about ruining my normal clothes, so I could puke on myself or crap my pants with impunity. So it worked out really well. So that's it for this video. In the next one, I'll be talking about the preparatory diet, so stay tuned.